जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'd like to briefly introduce His Grace Shubh Vilas Prabhu. Shubh Vilas Prabhu is a TEDx speaker. Uh, he He is a lifestyle coach, storyteller, and author. He has studied his patent law after completing his engineering degree. Finally, he chose the path of spiritual seeker associated with Shishi Radha Gopinath Mandir. He served in a various leadership roles in congregation development as well as management. Currently, he is a head of ISKCON Goa, where the congregation has been steadily growing under his care. He also takes care of Tulsi Books, a publishing house for spiritual books. He was also a pioneer of GCL, Gita Champions League, now which has become a international competition on promoting learning Gita in schools. After 11 years of being a monk at Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir, he set out on a mission to fulfill his objective of his life. He considers that his whole world as his home, and he wants to give service to individuals, corporates, youths, institutes through various workshops, and he shares daily day-to-day living wisdom to them. He has delivered more than 6,000 talks, inspired more than 6 lakh people across 20 countries in last 10 years. He is a visiting faculty at several premier business management schools in India, including IIM, Indian Institute of Management, NIMS, Mumbai. He is also a guest speaker at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Boston, Dresden International University, German, WITS, Johannesburg, and several centers of IITs in India. He is also an advisor on the advisory board of MIT Pune's online education system. So he has also spoken on Google, Microsoft, Amazon. He is an author, and he's expert at writing books in an extension of a deep sense of responsibility towards society. He began with a monumental task of writing a series of books on Ramayana, that is called Ramayana, the Game of Life, and he had written many bestsellers after that, like The Open Eyed Meditations, Perfect Love, 5.5 Ways to Lasting Relationships, and The Magic of Friendship. So we are very happy to have His Grace Shubh Vilas Prabhu here. We'd like to welcome Shubh Vilas Prabhu to Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Mandir by loudly chanting once Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 19, entitled King Prutu's 100 Horse Sacrifices. Bhavan paritratum ihavatirno. Bhavan paritratum ihavatirno. Dharmam jnanam samayanurupam. Dharmam jnanam samayanurupam. Venapacharad avaluptum adhya. Venapacharad avaluptum adhya. Taddehato Vishnu kalasi vainya. Taddehato Vishnu kalasi vainya. Bhavan paritratum ihavatirno. Dharmam jnanam samayanurupam. Venapacharad avaluptu madhya taddehato Vishnu kalasi vainya. Matajis, Bhavan, Your Majesty, Paritratum, just to deliver, Iha, in this world, Avatirnaha, incarnated, Dharmam, religious system, Jnanam, of the circumstances, sorry, Jananam, of the circumstances, Vena apacharat, by the misdeeds of King Vena, Avaluptam, almost vanished, Adya, at the present moment, Tat, his, Dehata, from the body, Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu, Kala, part of a plenary portion, Asi, you are, Vainya, O son of King Vena. Translation: O King Prutu, son of Vena, you are the part and parcel expansion of Lord Vishnu. Due to the mischievous activities of King Vena, religious principles were almost lost. At that opportune moment, you descended as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, for the protection of religious principles, you have appeared from the body of King Vena. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The way in which Lord Vishnu kills the demons and protects the faithful is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8. Paritranaya sadhonam vinashaya chadurskutam dharma samstarpanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. In two hands, Lord Vishnu always carries a club and a chakra to kill the demons. And in his other two hands, he holds a conch shell and lotus to give protection to his devotees. When his incarnation is present on this planet or in this universe, the Lord kills the demons and protects his devotees simultaneously. Sometimes, Lord Vishnu appears in his person as Lord Krishna or Lord Ram. All of these appearances are mentioned in the Shastras. Sometimes he appears as a Shaktavesh avatar like Lord Buddha. As explained before, these Shaktavesh avatars are incarnations of Vishnu's power invested in a living entity. Living entities are also part and parcel of Lord Vishnu, but they are not as powerful. Therefore, when a living entity descends as an incarnation of Vishnu, he is especially empowered by the Lord. When King Prutu is described as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, it should be understood that he is a Shaktavesh avatar, part and parcel of Lord Vishnu and is specifically empowered by him. Any living being acting as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu is thus empowered by Lord Vishnu to preach the Bhakti cult. Such a person can act like Lord Vishnu and defeat demons by arguments and preaching the Bhakti cult, exactly according to the principles of Shastra. As indicated in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever we find someone extraordinary preaching the Bhakti cult, we should know that he is specially empowered by Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. As confirmed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya 7.11, Krishna Shakti Vinanahi Tara Pavartan. One cannot explain the glories of the holy name of the Lord without being specifically empowered by him. If one criticizes or finds fault with such an empowered personality, one is to be considered an offender against Lord Vishnu and is punishable. Even though such offenders may dress as Vaishnavas with false tilak and mala, they are never forgiven by the Lord if they offend a pure Vaishnava. There are many instances of this in the Shastras. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very, very honored and grateful to be here in ISKCON Hyderabad, seeking the blessings of all exalted souls here, so I can speak something to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam and to help us understand this subject that we are discussing. This section of the Srimad Bhagavatam is speaking about the glories of one of the great incarnations of the Lord, Prithu Maharaj. And interestingly, he was born from King Vena, who was a demon. So, who can be born from whom, is something that the Bhagavatam always puts us to think. Essentially, it simply means that anyone can actually be empowered by the Lord if the Lord so wishes and if the person is qualified. So today we're going to discuss this theme of Srimad Bhagavatam about how we should look at devotees and how the path of bhakti through the medium of great teachers, great gurus, great devotees inspires us in our own spiritual journeys. So the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about a king named Uttanapad who had two queens, Suniti and Surichi. So, just like Uttanapad had two wives, Suniti and Surichi, actually all of us have these two concepts in our life, Suniti and Surichi. Even if you're a brahmachari, you still have Suniti and Surichi in your life. What is Suniti and Surichi essentially? The Ruchi means the things that we are attracted to, the things that we like. That's what Ruchi means. Ideally, you should be attracted to the right things, but we always get attracted to the wrong things, isn't it? And Niti means principles we follow. Ruchi means things we are attracted to, and Niti means principles we follow in our lives. So, if you have Vivek or discrimination, then you begin to understand if you give too much importance to Ruchi, then and you sacrifice Niti, then there'll be a problem in your life. There'll be sorrows and there'll be misery. The problem is just like Uttanapad prioritized Suruchi more and did not give attention to Suniti. Similarly, we tend to give priority to Ruchi, things that we are interested in, and we don't give priority to Niti or principles. So, the idea of Ruchi, it brings you material happiness, and Niti, Niti doesn't necessarily bring you happiness, but it brings you clarity. It brings you satisfaction. A lot of times, we are attracted more to a shadow than to substance. Once the shadow of a man looked at him and smiled at him. And the shadow of the man told him, "Look at me. I've become many times bigger than you, and you are as it is." So the man, he paused for a moment. He thought a little bit. And he said, "This is the difference between Satya and Asatya. Truth remains as it is, but untruth takes many forms. Isn't it? Asatya, when you present the untruth to people, you can distort it in so many ways and present it. I'm unfortunately associated with the literary world where there are so many people who are misrepresenting the scriptures and presenting so many untruth versions of the scriptures. The scriptures have very clear and straightforward way of thinking and presenting things. But if you twist the scriptures, you can make anything out of it. So, um, here we're talking about two personalities, Vena and Prutu Maharaj. Prutu represents the person who is fixed in Niti, in Satya. And Vena represents that person who is attached to Ruchi and Asatya. In our own lives, if you see, there is an aspect of Prutu also, there is an aspect of Vena also. Probably early in the morning, there is more Prutu present. And later, as the day progresses, there is more Vena present in us. By night, we are almost Vena only. So this whole concept of Prutu and Vena, it's an existent element in all of us in our lives. To the extent we empower Niti, to the extent we empower the understanding of deeper principles in life, to that extent we are empowering the Prutu element in us. Interestingly, if you look at the way Prutu Maharaj deals with the situations in his own life, when the name of this chapter is Prutu's 100 sacrifices, right? So Prutu Maharaj was engaged in doing yagya, sacrifices, Ashwamedha yagya, for the welfare of society. So as he was doing these Ashwamedha yagyas one after another, one after another, one after another, he did 99 yagyas. And he was doing his 100th yagya. Usually, someone who reaches 99, they don't get peace till they reach 100. That's the nature of life. If you are very close to a number that is whole, you feel like reaching there. And imagine, some cricketer playing gets out at 99. It's so frustrating. One more run, that's all. So Prithu Maharaj, in a why he was doing this? He was doing the yajnas for the welfare of the world, not so much for his own glory. But whenever you try to do something good for others, there will always be someone who has problem with you. That's the nature of this world. No matter who you are, when you try to do something good, there will always be someone who's having a problem with you. It happened with the incarnation of the Lord. Why will it not happen with us? So when Prithu was reaching his 100th yajna, is going to perform his 100th yajna, Indra became insecure because the qualification for you to become Indra is you need to do 100 Ashwamedha yajnas. So Prithu was just one number less than that. He technically can be qualified to be Indra. When usually people look at us, they look at us using their own lenses. They don't look at us thinking what we are thinking. They look at us thinking from their own perspective. So when Indra looked at Prithu, he almost felt sure that Prithu wants to take over his throne. But the matter of fact was that Prithu had no interest in that throne because Prithu is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu doesn't need Indra's throne at all. So, the nature of insecurity is it doesn't allow you to be peaceful. One man asked a teacher, how does one become unhappy in life? And this guru gave a very interesting answer. He said, the only way you can be unhappy in life is if you're jealous of someone. A jealous person can never be happy. Why? Because you're always thinking of that which you don't have. So Prithu, he was doing his 100th sacrifice. Indra came and stole the horse, the Ashwamedha Yajna horse. Prithu Maharaj went, fought and got the horse back. Again Indra came and stole the horse back. Prithu Maharaj went and fought and got the horse back. Again Indra stole the horse back. So many times it was happening. Prithu Maharaj was getting really frustrated. And it was time for the Ashwamedha Yajna happening. At that time, Lord Brahma comes to him and talks to Prithu. And Brahma tells Prithu, my dear Prithu, forget the 100th yajna. Lord Vishnu is pleased with you. Just forget the yajna. Prithu Maharaj immediately dropped the thought of doing the 100th yajna. Just give it up. Why? Why was he able to give it up? He was able to give it up because the only reason he was doing the yajna was to please Lord Vishnu. And if Lord Vishnu is pleased without him doing the yajna, why does he have to struggle to do the yajna? A lot of us, we don't know why we do what we do. But we mechanically keep doing things. I want to do, and we get stuck with numbers, right? 64 rounds, 192 rounds. These numbers are very, very interesting for us. Book scores, and I distributed 100 books, I distributed 200 books. So these numbers have a very interesting way of, especially in India, from the day we are born, the education system gets us stuck to those numbers, 96%, 98%. So we feel unless we get that number, we are not happy in life. If Prithu Maharaj was attached to that number, he would have said, forget it, I will do 100, let's see what happens. But Prithu Maharaj is not interested in number. A lot of us, we fast. Ekadasis, Nirjal Ekadasi, some devotees do Chaturmas fast. Interestingly, our body is fasting, but our ego is feasting. That's the most amazing thing, isn't it? Body is completely fasting, but ego is becoming fatter and fatter and fatter. So empowering the ego is trying to actually establish connection with the Vena aspect of ourselves. and empowering the um, the soul, the the good nature of us is connecting with the prutu aspect of ourselves. So the speciality of bhakti yoga is you use what you have in the service of the Lord, whatever you have, and be satisfied with the way you are serving the Lord. Um, in other processes like hatha yoga, karma kand, meditation, you require some skills to be able to do that. If you are practicing hatha yoga, before you start doing hatha yoga, your mind should be stable. When we start chanting Hare Krishna, whose mind is stable? So technically, if you look from Hatha Yoga point of view, we are all disqualified to practice any form of yoga. So for doing any other process, you need to have skills that you may not have, and these processes are very scary. But in bhakti, there is no fear because you progress with what you have right now. So if you have intelligence, use that. If you have emotions, use that. If you have passion, use that. Don't worry about getting what you don't have. If you are able to sing, sing for the pleasure of Krishna. If you're not able to sing, don't go and join singing classes and try to become a expert in singing. Not needed to tax your brain so much. Whatever you have, use it in Krishna's service. And uh, if you have your hands, use hands in Krishna's service. You have your legs, use your legs in Krishna's service. So only those who really don't want to do anything worry about what they don't have. It's a very interesting psychology. Those who don't want to do anything, they will think about what I don't have. Like, for example, a rich man went to a saint and he said, I'm so sorry, I'm so sick. And if I had only good health, I would have done so much service to you. A poor man, but very healthy man, he said, I don't have any money only. If only I had some money, I would have done some service to you. So everyone is looking at what they don't have to do service. If only you look at what you have, the rich man has money, use that. The poor man has good health, use that. So essentially, the idea is that um, when we do seva, we use what we have and don't focus on what we don't have. Like in the Ramayana, the monkeys were fighting the war with Lord Ram, right? Fighting against Ravan's army. And interestingly, not all the monkeys had weapons. In fact, almost no monkey had a weapon. But they had a very interesting way of fighting the war. You know what they were doing? Whatever they were getting, they were using as weapons. If they got stone, take stone and hit. If they got a stick, take stick and hit. If they got some tree, take the tree and hit. If they didn't get anything, use their nails, use their teeth, whatever they got, basically. That's how spiritual life is. Don't wait for the ideal condition to come and then you do service or bhakti. Whatever you have right now, engage it immediately in the service of the Lord. So our determination should be that I want to fight against anarthas. We should not think about which weapon to fight with. So the monkeys didn't think, if only I had Gada, I would be such a good fighter. Then the Ram Ravan war would never have been won by Ram. If all the monkeys start thinking like that, if they went on strike saying that get us good quality weapons, then we'll enter into the war. Impossible to fight such wars. So whatever you have, use it in the service of the Lord and fight against anarthas. So the idea of connecting with the Lord and trying to fight against our anarthas, which are like Vena, is something that repeatedly comes in the scriptures. And for us to fight against our anarthas, we need some help. That's where the spiritual master, the guru, comes in picture. The role of the spiritual master, the role of the guru, is to help us get equipped to fight against our anarthas. to help us get equipped to focus more on our strengths and our good qualities. Somebody asked a student, why do you need a guru? And this student gave a very interesting answer. He said, if a water has to be heated, if you have to heat water, what do you need? To heat water, you need fire, obviously, but you also need a vessel, right? So only when you put water in a vessel and put that vessel on fire, the water will get heated. If you only have fire and water, you can't heat the water. The guru is that vessel. Krishna is that fire. And we are like water. But for the water to get heated up, you need a vessel. And the spiritual master acts as that via medium, the connection between the fire and us. He's an intermediary between the fire and the soul. A lot of problems of a sadhaka is that a sadhaka is trying to fight against anarthas, but unfortunately the anarthas are too powerful for him. Not always easy for a sadhaka to be able to fight against anarthas. And therefore the sadhaka has to be very honest with his anarthas. When the monkeys were going to cross the ocean and they were thinking who will jump across the ocean, out of all the monkeys, only one said, I can do 800 miles. And that was Angad. Angad said, I can cross. But he said, I'm not sure whether I can return back. Why did Angad say, I'm not sure whether I can return back? The problem was not energy. The problem was not ability. The problem was something else only. Interestingly, nobody asked him why you can't return back. But Jambavan, who is the guru, understood why he can't return back. The reason Angad said, I am not sure whether I can return back is because Angad is Vali Putra, his son of Vali. And being the son of Vali, Angad was not sure whether he can handle the temptations of Lanka. It's like going to Las Vegas. You can go, but you're not sure that you'll come back. The place is so dazzling, so much excitement. Angad is saying, I'm sure I'll go, but I'm not sure I'll come back. I might stay there only. So he's saying, better I don't go. At least he was honest. At least he was honest that he might succumb to temptations. So, in the whole idea of the Ramayana, we find that Hanumanji was someone who didn't voice out his opinion about whether he can cross the ocean or not, how much he can do. All the monkeys are telling, I can do 10 miles, I can do 20 miles, I can do 100 miles. Everyone is telling. But Hanumanji didn't say one word how much he can do. When Jambavan went and sat next to him and reminded Hanuman of his powers, and then suddenly Hanuman became big. And Hanuman said something very interesting. According to him, the question only was wrong. The question that was asked, how much you can do, the question only was wrong. Why was the question wrong? The question was wrong because Hanuman considered himself to be like an arrow in the hand of Ram. How far the arrow can go doesn't depend on the arrow. It depends on the person shooting the arrow, isn't it? So how far I can go? Hanuman is saying, I don't know. How far I can go depends on Ram. I'm just an arrow. You can't ask an arrow how far you can do it. You can't ask the instrument how much you can do. The instrument can do anything depending on who is using the instrument, right? So similarly, for a sadhaka, when we know we are in the hands of the right person, the right teacher, the right guru, and the Supreme Lord, anyone can do anything. And that's why the common theme in the scriptures, it's a very interesting common theme in the scriptures. The common theme in the scriptures is Krishna is telling Arjun, you fight the war. Nimitta matra bhavasavyasachi. He said, you fight the war. I will kill all of them. That means Arjun has to just stand over there holding the bow and arrow. Krishna will do everything. Isn't it? When just during the Mahabharata war, there was one king of Udupi who came to join in the war. So by the time the teams were allotted and everybody had their own roles and all that. So he came after everything was set. So Krishna told him, you can't join any side now. The king of Udupi was very sad, very dejected that he's not able to fight in the war. But Krishna told him, don't worry, you cook for everyone. Udupi people are known for cooking, right? All Shetty hotels. So originally, this Krishna was the one who found that talent in them. So Krishna told the king of Udupi, you cook for everyone. And the king of Udupi cooked for both the sides, Kauravas and Pandavas together, common kitchen. Imagine, all day long they're fighting with each other, night they're eating together. And everyone was amazed. This guy, every day what he cooked, perfect quantity, not little less, not little more. So the people were amazed. It's a war. It's not like, Sunday feast or something, a very predictable crowd, basically. It's a war. Every day, thousands of people are dying. You don't know how many people are going to return back. But how does he make sure exact count is there? In a family of 4 also, you can't do that. Isn't it? And here is millions of people, an exact count. And this guy gave a brilliant answer. He said, every day evening, Krishna comes to the kitchen and I give him a cup of boiled peanuts. And Krishna eats the peanuts. And I count how many peanuts he has eaten. Next day, I know how many people are going to die. What a calculation, isn't it? Krishna is eating peanuts here, and next day's calculation how many thousands of people are going to die is made. So when Krishna is saying Nimitta Matra Bhave Savisachi, he is telling Arjun, you fight, I will take care of the results. That's what he means. Same thing in the Ramayana. When Ram is telling Sugriv, you go and fight with Vali. Sugriv is saying, I'll go to fight, but who will kill Vali? Ram says, don't worry, I'll kill him. So a sadhaka is never able to understand this equation. How does it mean I fight, but the result is taken care by somebody else? If you hear the story of Ramesh Baba, Vrindavan, where he sleeps with a tiny stick next to him. In those days, Barsana was very, very dense forest, and Radhanath Swami Maharaj asked him, why are you sleeping with the stick next to you? He said, if tiger comes, I will show the stick. Imagine, if a tiger comes, what is the point of showing a stick, You think a tiger is not a dog that will run away with showing a stick. So he said, my role is to just show I am trying. Ultimately, whether Krishna protects or not, that is up to him, isn't it? So here Ram is telling Sugriv, you go and fight. But your duty is only simply to do that. Go and fight. Go and try. But the result is not in your hand. Prithu Maharaj understands this. That's why he is trying. But he is not attached to the idea that I want this result only. The problem with us is that we are more attached to the result than the effort. And because we are attached too much to the result, we are always having expectation that this result will come. But personalities like Prithu, they are so much focused on the effort itself that they know simply the effort itself is enough to please the Lord. And that's what Bhakti Yoga is. Bhakti Yoga is not so much about the result as much as it is about the effort. One time, there was one of our devotees was going to the US consulate for applying for US visa. This is of course in Bombay. He didn't visit Visa Balaji here. So he went to the US consulate to apply for a US visa. And there were many people standing in line in front of him. There was one lady who had a baby in her hand. This baby was crying like mad, just crying like mad. And so much noise. If one baby cries in an auditorium, you have to stop speaking. You can't do anything. Nobody can do anything actually. They have a fitted in amplifier inside them. Such high volume they can cry in. So that officer, the issuing officer, she was getting very disturbed by this sound. So she told this lady, you come in the front. The whole line was broken. She came right in the front. And when this mother with a crying baby in her hand submitted the documents, all the documents fell on that lady only. You know? Just zoop, it fell like that. This lady collected all the documents and in less than 1 minute, granted visa, go, she said. So she took the baby and 4 documents were missing also, you know. And after her, one fellow was there with suit boot and really well dressed and perfect documents, everything in place. Visa rejected. Now, nobody can question her why you gave her the visa and why you didn't give him the visa. That's it. Her decision, you know. So all of us, we're practicing our spiritual lives and we're putting all documents in place, you know, to reach the spiritual world. 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all lifelong, one document, you know. Reading Prabhupada's books, another document, you know. Giving donations, another document. Taking care of our family, another document, you know. So you're collecting all the documents, distributing Prabhupada's books, another document. And finally we think we are right on the edge of the spiritual world. And we're showing all our documents. See, we have all our documents in place. You think that's enough to get your entry in the spiritual world? Even if you have all your documents in place, still there is no guarantee you'll reach the spiritual world. Because there's one more element that is needed to reach the spiritual world. And what is that element? It's the element of grace. Kripa. Your effort is in your hand, but Kripa is not in your hand. That depends on the Lord. Just like you go to a bank, if you have a bank locker, there are 2 keys to open a bank locker. One key manager has, one key you have. You put your key, lock won't open. The manager put only his key, lock won't open. Both have to put key together, then the lock opens. So the manager putting his key is grace, and you putting your key is effort. If only effort is there but grace is not there, locker won't open. If only grace is there, effort is not there, locker won't open. So the combination of the two. And when does grace come? We know how effort comes, right? We know the whole idea about what effort needs to be put in. Grace comes when the effort is put in with the right attitude. It's not just about putting the effort. It is putting the effort in the right attitude. With the right attitude, that's what attracts grace. So Prithu Maharaj put all the efforts he needed to put. 99 yajnas done. But not doing the 100th yajna and saying it's okay showed his attitude. And that opens the door to the spiritual world. That impresses Vishnu. So all of us in our own spiritual journeys, we all have learned how to put efforts. But let us also learn how to put efforts with the right attitude, which is what we can learn from this story of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments, please?
Dandavat Pram Prabhu, wonderful class. Thank you very much. I have one small doubt, Prabhu, and this doubt may not be directly linked with today's class, but again, it might. How is that we need to put our efforts, but again, how do we really sharpen that efforts to really give our best? Yes, Guru Kripa is required, but again, from our effort, when we go, how do we go to the next level? In perfecting that efforts, whatever we are putting. What are the tips there? Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I personally feel that each of us have a gift that Krishna has given us. Some talent, some skill, some ability. Every human being has something unique, which is a gift of the Lord for us. If we serve using our gifts, we are actually putting our best efforts. Identifying the gift is something that takes time. It takes probably many, many years to identify the right gift that you have. When you put effort based on that gift that you have, based on the skill that you have, based on the empowerment that Krishna has given you, you actually don't put effort at all. It feels very, very natural, easy, fun, isn't it? Then there's no time limit how much you can do it. You go to a job Monday to Friday, you're waiting for Friday night. Why? Because Monday to Friday is so frustrating. Most of the people that work are not working based on their gifts. So they're suffering their work, basically. So similarly, in Krishna consciousness also, many times we suffer Krishna consciousness because we don't want to do something and we end up doing that only. But when we do things in Krishna consciousness, which is very, very closely connected to our gifts, to actually study the scriptures, there are so many personalities who focused on one aspect of their of what they feel they are empowered at. Like somebody focused on Shravanam, Parikshit Maharaj focused on that aspect, which he loved to hear. Shukadeva Goswami focused on Kirtanam, Each personality focused on one aspect of their spiritual life and they went really deep into that. Of course, if you can do all, it's great. But even if you can do one, and you can do it happily, do that as much as you can. The, the idea of effort becomes a smooth ride if it is natural to your propensity. The idea of effort becomes very tedious and difficult when it is something that is unnatural to you. And therefore, Krishna is present in so many ways in our lives. And there are so many ways to access Krishna. So many ways of connecting with Krishna. Somebody likes an intellectual way, there is a super intellectual way of connecting with Krishna. Somebody can't handle intellectual way, somebody wants only kirtan, that's also a great way to connect. Somebody can't handle kirtan, only deity worship and art and skill. You can use all your art and skill on, decorating the deities. So whatever way you want to, according to your ability, you put in effort, it doesn't seem to be effort at all. And that pleases Krishna a lot. So I feel that discovering that simplicity of connecting with the Lord and in a non-complex way makes our spiritual journey easy, smooth, fun, and very loving. Right? So, so I always tell people Krishna has not come to burden our lives. If you feel burdened by any aspect of Krishna consciousness, something is wrong in the way you are approaching that. Make sense? Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Piche. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandat Mama. A Vana and father, that is one sect, and here effort and mercy. What is the role of piety and impiety or earlier assets or negative assets on the present these situations? Because attitude, right attitude comes only when we have piety or whatever that positive assets are there. So what is the role of that thing in both the cases? Hare Krishna.
I'll tell you two things. One, of course, piety is important, very important. But piety is not the only thing that is important. There is something more. It's like if you go to a 5-star hotel and in your pocket you have only 500 rupees, what you will do there? You can drink one coffee and come back. That's all. But if you have a few thousand rupees, you can probably eat one dinner and come back. And if you have a few lakh rupees, you can stay for a few days and come back. And if you have maybe 1 crore rupees or something, you can stay for a few weeks, a few months and come back. According to how much money you have, that much long you can stay in a 5-star hotel. So piety is very much like that. Piety helps you to decide how long you sustain in the path of Krishna consciousness. Somebody who is having very little piety, they come one day, dance and kirtan, go back. That's all. Never ever come back to ISKCON. They had only that much sukruti to handle that much. Somebody who has a lot of piety can stay a whole lifetime in Krishna consciousness. But as I said, that's not the only thing. That's one way of looking at it. But the other way of looking at it is what one disciple was speaking to Srila Prabhupada. And he said, Prabhupada, I don't know what qualifications we had to come to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, you had none. He said, I created your qualification. So this is the other way. Even if you don't have piety, but you are connected with a great bona fide spiritual master, if you're connected to a great teacher, great guru, that guru has the ability to create your piety. So you're a blank slate, no problem. You get the right teacher. You're sorted, basically. So either you come with your own bank balance and you sustain, or if you don't have any bank balance or you have negative bank balance, catch the right person. Catch the right teacher. That person will sort you out. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu Hare Krishna.
The question on the back.
In the case of Vana and his father got Vana some wickedness and is there, and Vana got Prudu as their son. And any how to correlate this piety or impiety earlier things and present things because of that correlation.
Every person is an individual. You can learn from someone what to do. You can learn from someone what not to do. So you can learn from your father what to do. You can learn from your father what not to do also. So that's why, even though we may all be related to each other and the environment is created by the relationship, but ultimately we are all individual souls who are connected to Krishna only. So how the individual soul makes the choices is what spiritual life is about. Okay? Thank you. Oh, there's a question in the back.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is like, when we are on the bodily platform, when someone criticizes us, we pull our hair. And when someone glorifies, we feel very happy. And there is a physical pain, both like a body, someone. Krishna.
Yeah, it's okay.
So there is a physical pain when someone criticizes us.
Huh? Is yeah. So the body and the soul are connected through a medium of what is known as ahankar, the false ego. The soul is pure. The soul can never experience any pain, right? Sachidananda. And the body also can never experience any pain. It is jada. Body, dead body, you cut it or you beat it, nothing happens to it. So technically, the body also experiences no pain. Soul also experiences no pain. The problem happens when there is a connection between the body and the soul using the false ego, ahankar. That is the cause of all pain in our life. So spiritual life is essentially treatment of the soul, of the ahankar, of the ego. It takes time. It takes time for the treatment to happen. But it's important that we undergo the process of treatment. And that's why, the, the very fact that you are conscious of that pain, it simply means that there is some thinking that is happening. That there is at that level, right? Most people in this world are not even conscious of these facts, isn't it? You go outside, go into the corporate world, you talk to regular people, they don't even talk like this. Why? Because they don't understand that there is something higher. There is a higher way of looking at life. Only when you understand that there is a higher way of looking at life and you connect with that higher way, can you deal with the false ego. So slowly, you start becoming like a copra. You know what's a copra? Copra is coconut. Inside it gets ripened. Na? You shake the coconut, what happens? You can hear the sound of it becomes detached from that shell. So slowly, slowly, the coconut becomes completely detached from the shell. So we are all like the coconut now, which is attached to the shell. But as we grow in our spiritual life, we will be in this body, but will be in a liberated condition in the body. So right now we are in a very attached condition, so the pain is very high. So as we grow higher and higher in our spiritual consciousness, we reach a point where we are in the body only, but the pain is not so high because we kind of become like a cobra, detached self. Did I make sense? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for being here and very, very grateful for this opportunity to serve you all. seeking blessings from all the senior Vaishnavas here, so that I can practice what I spoke. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.